Welcome to Get Savvy, the podcast for people who want to claim back their time through the power of delegation, streamlining, and productivity. Today we're talking about a topic that's close to my heart. It's about knowing if your workload is unsustainable, and ideally we want everyone to be avoiding that burnout that so many of us have experienced. It's a horrible thing to go through. But yeah, so many people have experienced it, and it can just be so overwhelming, make you basically want to throw the towel in and just give up when you're right in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely happens to the best of us, that's for sure. And it's really important to know and kind of see the signs before you get to burnout, because you do not want to get there. And so we're going to go through some of those warning signs that we really want you to have a look out for, so that you know whether your workload is crossing into that danger zone.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the major ones is fatigue and feeling that constant fatigue. I know that this is something that I had when I experienced burnout, was just basically waking up feeling tired, even though I had just had, a really decent length sleep, but I was still waking up feeling tired, feeling groggy through the day. It can also be that you're feeling irritable. It's just, a bit of a red flag if you're constantly feeling really, really low energy.
Yeah. When you're really wiped out all the time, that's definitely when your work suffers. It's hard to think clearly in those times. And if you keep going and you have that nervous system that just does not switch over, you're going to be more susceptible to getting sick.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It just decreases your overall resilience in general, like mentally and physically.
Yeah. It makes it hard to be able to deal with things, right? That normally you'd be able to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one is lack of motivation. If, again, a lot of these things, especially if they're extended periods of time, that's a massive red flag. But things that you once felt were really exciting that now feel more like a burden, or you're just completely uninterested in, or feel like a chore to you, then that could be a sign that you've got a bit of a workload issue, that you're a bit overloaded at the moment.
Yeah, because having that low motivation, it can definitely affect your productivity and that enthusiasm. Like, we want you to be enthusiastic about your business, that you're excited to be working in your business, and the reason why you set out in business in the first place.
Yeah, and especially if you have team members as well, other people pick up on those vibes. And if the business owner is not excited to be at work, then how do you think your team are going to feel? Yeah. And it's something that you take home as well, to your spouse or your kids or whoever's at home. You're going to take that home. It doesn't just stop when you finish the work day, unfortunately.
Yeah. The next one is that you are having real difficulty in making decisions.
Yeah.
Like, even just the decision of like what to have for lunch.
Yeah.
If that is becoming difficult, like, you're not going to be able to make big business decisions or choices or anything in your business if, like, even just lunch decisions are a struggle.
Yeah. Your mental load is too full. So your workload's going to pile up because, simple things like making a decision will become harder or just take you longer. So look out for if you find yourself running things by others as well that you usually wouldn't, and you could just make the call on if you're feeling really on top of things. It's a good way to see that happening.
Yeah, that is definitely a sign that your plate is way too full.
The next one is difficulty in focusing, and we did briefly cover this before, but this can flow through in quite a few ways. So it could just be that you're staring at your screen if you work on a computer and you're just not sure what you're doing. You just can't focus on anything, and obviously that's a decrease in productivity. But there is massive potential that that is also going to be an increase in errors if you're just not concentrating on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I find that not even necessarily when I'm at burnout level, but just if I know that I've got too much on my plate, I notice that I actually get distracted and ping pong around from task to task really quickly. And in the moment, sometimes it can feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being so productive right now. I'm doing so many different things at once. I've got all these balls up in the air. But then if it goes on for too long, I realize, oh crap, I actually have way too much on and I'm not doing any of these things efficiently. I'm just trying to juggle 100 things and not do them well.
Mm.
And so I really try and refocus myself to just focusing on that one task at hand before starting the next one rather than having all of them going at once.
Yeah, what I am prone to doing when I'm in this place of overwhelm is that I will start something and then I'll get distracted by like, oh gosh, but I've got to do that. And I'm doing
Yeah.
multiple things at once, but then I've forgotten, did I actually finish that task? So then I
Yeah.
actually go in and have to check,
Yeah.
did I do it all the way to the end? No, I still need to do this. And like, you cannot remember what you've done and what you haven't done because you're so like ping ponging is a really good term. And that must add so much time
Yes.
to your workload or to your workday where it's just unnecessarily wasted because you have too many things going on at once. And I always remind myself in that time, overwhelm is because of a lack of clarity. So I need to get really clear on what is the one thing that I'm focusing on. Do I have my clear list? Like if I don't, overwhelm just takes over and it's very hard to focus.
Yeah. And I find being in that space as well, it is really easy for things to fall off. It might feel great in the moment when you are feeling like it's productive instead of just too much going on. But yeah, if you start something and then, you've got 100 tabs open either in your brain or on your computer, and then, yeah, it's really easy for one of them to slip off. And then it's not until someone reminds you and you're like, oh my God, I started doing that and I just completely got distracted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really be present or try if you notice that you're in that space.
Mm.
Mhm. The next one is difficulty in handling stress. And again, like in business, stress is going to be a part of life. You're going to be stressed at some point. But again, when it's ongoing, it feels like a constant battle. And you get to that space where you're not handling things as well as you usually would. If you're overwhelmed, then things can overwhelm you very easily. But obviously, that stress, long periods of time, takes a real toll on your mind and your body. And then, of course, it takes a toll on your work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this difficulty in handling stress, it might manifest as things like, heightened anxiety, mood swings, like irritability where someone says something to you and you just take it completely the wrong way. Or maybe just that overwhelm just persists throughout the whole day. It never goes away.
Yeah.
A good
Yeah.
indicator for me is that like nervous system
Mm.
not switching over. I can feel that in my body.
Yeah. You're really good at noticing that in yourself. Yeah. I notice when I'm too full that things, yeah, just a little bit harder to deal with, and that usually wouldn't bother me, and I just take it in my stride when I'm too full. It feels like a lot, and it's a lot harder for me to handle. So that's a key sign for me personally. And then obviously as a result of all of this as well, difficulty maintaining personal relationships and like even just your hobbies. I know again when I'm really full, seeing friends and doing things that aren't related to work, like doing hobbies, they feel like just another thing on the list. And I feel like I should just focus on getting work done. But without that balance, then you can never pull yourself back in the work side of things. And neglecting things that you enjoy is just actually going to put you in a worse headspace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Humans need personal connection. We need those friendships. Like feeling lonely and isolated is not a good place to be at all.
No. Our next one is difficulty sleeping. This one's pretty self-explanatory, and we did touch on it before, but it is a clear sign that you need a breather. And I'm not talking about just one night that your partner bumped into you and woke you up in the middle of the night and you had a bit of a bad sleep. Just, yeah, again, if you're not feeling rested when you wake up, and it is something each day that you wake up and you're like, oh, I had a really terrible sleep again. If it's consistent, then that can be a sign.
Yeah. Even with more than 8 hours of sleep, that feeling not well rested, that is definitely a sign for sure. All right. And then some physical things may be happening. Headaches, muscle tension, like these are all signals your body is trying to tell you something. You can't just keep pushing those away or ignoring them. These are related to stress.
Yep, absolutely. And even if we talked before about resilience as well with your body. If you're getting sick frequently, then it's probably not just because you've been in contact with a bunch more people than you usually have that are sick. Yeah. It's your own immune system is not in a happy place.
Yep.
So that is some of the warning signs. What can you do about it? As we always talk about, delegating is a massive way to help, and this is something that won't just help temporarily as well. If you get it set up right, those are tasks that can then help you, they're off your plate ongoing. This is something that is long-term to help. Yeah. Share the workload.
Yeah. Don't be a hero. Don't let your ego get in the way and think, oh no one else can do anything else on my list. I have to do it all. That's bullshit. There are things on your list that other people can do. We promise you that.
Yeah. Whether it's your own team or a virtual assistant, there are people that actually want to help as well. And I know in the moment when you are really overwhelmed, it can feel like harder to delegate that task. And I still catch myself doing this from time to time. I go, oh, it's going to take me longer to delegate it, and I may as well just do it, especially when I am really stressed and have a lot going on. But every time that I do actually go, okay, no, Teesha, practice what you preach, delegate it, and I do that, I feel so much better that I've done it that way.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing you can do is take a break, whether that is temporarily stepping away from your desk just in your day-to-day. Breaks are really important, and again, something really easy to slip off the radar when you are really stressed. It's easy to just feel like you should work through, but we've talked about this before, Jo, stepping away for a while, actually resetting and, having a drink of water, getting some sunlight, whatever it is, recharging a little bit before you come back to your desk. It's likely, that refresher is actually going to help you concentrate and focus on what you need to get done.
Yeah, because you need to recharge, recover. Something that is going to be completely the opposite to what you want to do right now would be to actually book in some time off, and not just like block out your calendar, you're going to have some time off, because trust me, you'll get to that point. You'll be like, oh, now I've got some free days. I'm just going to do some work and catch up. But if you actually booked like an Airbnb or something away from your home, then you are going to go, because book something that has no cancellation policy. Like, you have to go. And that will force you to only work up to that point and then actually go and take that time off. You can then plan for it. Make it in the future, not too far away, but in the future, you can actually plan for that time off.
Yep, absolutely. It'll do absolute wonders for both your mental and physical well-being, as long as you actually allow yourself to relax and recharge while you are away.
Yeah. The next one is to set some realistic goals. So if we just keep thinking about all the big projects and the big tasks that we have on and all the things that we have to get done, that is going to be completely overwhelming for us. So it's really important to actually have your bite-size chunks of tasks somewhere maybe even just having like, what are the 3 things that I want to get done today, and focus on 3 things rather than your entire list.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you actually recognizing what you have achieved in a day? Because a lot of the time, as
Mm.
business owners, you're working on big picture tasks as well. And so it is really important to step back and recognize, sorry, those quick or smaller wins, I guess you could call them, and still feel like you've achieved things in that day. Because if you get to the end of the day and feel like you didn't achieve anything, then that's obviously not a very nice feeling.
Mm.
So yeah, actually looking at what you achieved, those smaller things, and then having a realistic to-do list. Like, you can still have a to-do list that's big, that has got everything on your plate, but then break out the things for that day that are actually realistic. And again, don't be a hero and try and crank through 1,000 things, because it's probably not productive if you are focusing on 100,000 things. Be very, very real and realistic when you set that daily to-do list.
Yeah. All right, next is to prioritize self-care. You're going to groan when we say this first one, but exercise. So right now I've got a lot on my plate, and today is one of the days that I would typically go to the gym. Now, we're recording this podcast episode during a gym session time, and I am forcing myself to stick with the 12:30 gym session and actually go, even though I know that I have a lot of things I would love to do instead of that in terms of getting things off my plate. But I know that if I don't exercise, I'm not going to feel good to be able to work productively and do the tasks when I do them in work time. So I know that I'm going to get a return on that investment of my time inside that exercise window, because I'm then going to be able to be more productive outside of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could be as simple as going for a walk. It doesn't mean that you have to go and do a massive workout at the gym, but exercise is great for your body and your mind again.
Yeah. I think the key with exercise is to actually have it scheduled so that you're not making a decision every day, am I going to exercise or not today? Like, having it set in your calendar, that is the time that I go, and it's part of your routine. That's the way that I exercise each day. And I go for a walk with my dog, because my dog is a border collie. And she's staring at me saying, let's go for a walk. I'm a border collie. I need lots of exercise. So I commit to her, not to let her down, that I'm going to take her for a walk every day. And I have it scheduled in my calendar. I know when it's going to be. So I'm not deciding every day, am I going to walk my dog or not? It's not a decision. It's just done. I am going to, and it's in the calendar.
Yeah.
So is there a way that you can like really make that commitment to yourself, so you're not getting that decision fatigue where you're trying to decide every day, am I, aren't I? It's that it's set in the calendar, and so the decision is done. You are every single day, or 3 times a week, or 2 times a week, whatever it is.
And then some other ways to prioritize your self-care are just eating right, getting some sleep. Again, I know they sound really simple, but it is so easy for them to drop off. And going back to the hobbies and things that we were talking about before, those things that you really love doing is also self-care.
Yeah.
You need those things.
Yeah, because they drop off, right? Exercise drops off, hobbies drop off, visiting friends drops off. Those are key to life. Key.
Absolutely. So it's really important first to spot those signs, those warning signs that we talked about in the beginning, to actually recognize that your workload may be unsustainable, and get some of that balance back in your life. And you can take so many actions to lighten that load, and you'll create a more manageable environment for yourself that's going to benefit you both personally and professionally. And remember that it is actually okay to ask for help and give yourself a break. I know, again, we're talking to a lot of business owners that are just feeling like they have to do everything because, the buck stops with them, but you are allowed to rest. You're allowed to have a break. It's really, really important for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your body, your mind, your family, your friends, your business, they will all thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want some support lightening your own workload, then reach out to us over at strictlysavvy.co.nz. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Get Savvy podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.